At Brown's Roofing, we put our customers first. Our expert project managers are there to answer all your questions and help you out with anything you need. When disaster strikes, either a hailstorm or a leaky roof, you need a contractor in which you can trust.
Hey folks, good morning. Welcome to the Digital Weather Desk powered by Century Next Bank. I'm Jared Floyd. A very quick update on this Monday morning. Trying to get back to normal and trying to return to our normal content schedule, which is usually 3 normal live streams a day and our Too Long Didn't Read, and just, again, trying to establish some kind of consistent schedule compared to where we've been over the last few days where it's been all chaos. Take a look or a check of the I-20 traffic cameras. There are 3 cameras that are up and running: Jackson Street, the Civic Center exit, and Texas Avenue. And it looks like the interstate's actually quite clear. And in most instances, obviously, you can see the Jackson Street off-ramp is probably still closed. I would assume it is. It should be, because it's very, very ice covered, and it's a ramp. So once you get started, you ain't gonna stop. But again, it's not impossible to move across some of our main roads. I would expect our major highways, 165, 167, 80, 82, 84 to a certain extent. A lot of those roads also, in theory, should start to improve to a certain degree today. But a lot of our secondary roads, neighborhood roads, roads that are covered with trees, a lot of our rural roads, and we'll see this in the power outage mapping again in just a minute. There's a lot of folks that are it's going to be a while. And while we thaw out this week, we don't thaw out much. The one plus to today is there's quite a bit of sunshine already across the region. And I know we're going to stay below freezing for most, if not all, of the day. But the sunshine does help. It will provide for at least some sublimation. What is sublimation? Let's go back to earth science class. It's basically where the sun's rays turn ice directly into water vapor. Basically, just kind of the sun's energy breaks the bond of the ice and helps to kind of break it up. And then eventually, you'd prefer to have very, very dry air, which to a certain degree we have. And you'd also prefer to have some strong winds, because as you turn that ice to water vapor, you want the winds to carry the moisture away so it doesn't just condense back down eventually, or that it cools and then condenses back down. And then you also want the dry air in place, because when you do turn it to water vapor, you want that water vapor to then eventually be just absorbed into the atmosphere. You don't want the air to be saturated, because if it's saturated, it can't take any more water, and then it would condense and go right back down to the ice. So those are all things that you'd prefer as we go through the day. So again, translation, sun, good. And no rainfall or anything like that, also good. As you take a look at the radar made possible by Brown's Roofing, again, lots of calls to Jimmy and the guys, and they are, getting to folks ASAP. And so schedule those roof inspections at brownsroofingla.com, and they are free, and Jimmy and the guys and the crews will get to you as soon as they possibly can. Nothing doing. We did have some very, very light snow flurries across portions of southern Arkansas last night. In fact, I heard someone say they had about 20 flakes on the windshield. So not much, but there were a few flurries from time to time late last night, early this morning across southern Arkansas. Look at the power outage index, and still don't have a lot of good news. The hardest hit in terms of concentration of outages kind of per capita, per parish, per county is in far northeastern Louisiana and western Mississippi. Now, it's not necessarily by numbers, but it's by percentages of customers without power. And I'll also urge you that as I circle that area right there, in full fairness for a lot of those folks, that is a very rural part of northeastern Louisiana and west central Mississippi. Nothing wrong with that, but there's a lot of country roads and things like that where there's going to be a lot of trees down, a lot of branches down. So again, rural service usually tends to take time. Folks are a little bit more spread out, so it may take a little bit more time to kind of diagnose the root of the issue. When you get to areas like Ouachita Parish and some of these higher concentrated, higher populated counties and parishes, you've got a lot of folks kind of crammed in all at once. And so if in some instances, if you restore a substation and some lines around the substation, you may, bring service back to a lot of people. When you may have to restore service to, 40 or 50 homes spread out over a very large area, again, it takes time. a check of temperatures, a low temperature since midnight. This is the other good news. So we have the roads, at least the main roads are improving. Good news. Sunshine, sublimation to a certain degree. Good news. And overnight lows were not as cold as we thought. Arctic air post-ice, post-snow is very difficult to forecast. And a lot of folks won't admit that. I'll admit it. We had big-time struggles back in 2021. After the snow and ice had fallen, we were really afraid we were going to drop single digits, low teens, and a lot of areas just never really got there. We were cold. We were extremely cold. Hard freeze, well below freezing, all that stuff. But in terms of just absolutely frigid cold, we never really got there. This morning, El Dorado got down to 17, Camden 16, Magnolia 16, Monroe got down to 20. Make no bones about it. This is cold stuff, but it could have been colder, and so that's a small positive. Currently, not much warmer. We're still in the upper teens to low 20s as you step outside today. But again, despite the fact that we're below freezing, sunshine will help today to a certain degree. Here's a look at wind speeds. They are still an issue, especially along the Mississippi Valley. It is kind of a catch-22 because these stronger northerly and northeasterly winds are also pushing the last of the cloud cover out. So while we don't necessarily welcome the stronger winds with ice in the trees and on the power lines and things like that, and again, the stronger winds help with sublimation. So it is a catch-22. We'd prefer the winds to carry that moisture away from the ice, but then again, you don't want to bring down power lines any more than we already have. Speaking of the local current outages, there's still some pretty tough numbers, but some of these numbers are improving. East Carroll Parish, about 95% of folks are without service. Issaquah County, same story. Warren County's been hit pretty hard. Claiborne, Jefferson, Adams counties, all got a lot of folks without service. Tensas Parish has a lot of folks without service. But then you go into Jackson, Wynne, Caldwell, Richland, West Carroll. We've had a lot of folks get smacked pretty hard by a lot of ice. And so, again, it's going to take time. We're talking 50, 60, 70,000 people without power in some of these spots. And that's just in our immediate area. You get outside of it, and we're talking just thousands of folks without power. So, again, natural disasters and storms and things like this, they take time. I ask that you, just from my vantage point, just be patient. Give grace to those that need it. Give grace to each other because, again, we're all tired. A lot of us are cold, very frustrated, and just, again, the aura of winter weather has been worn off now for 2 days. And so folks are just really ready to get back to normal, and it's going to take some time. Afternoon highs today should be right near the freezing mark, right at it. Lows tonight. Futurecast, which is made possible by Bayou Power Sports, I-20 frontage road in Monroe, will probably be back into the teens for most of us. Could we see the single digits? It's not out of the realm of possibilities. But at this point, the way I'm seeing it, I think most of us should stay in the teens tonight. There will be some areas that may stay in the 20s. I'm cautiously optimistic that areas along and south of I-20 actually stay in the 20s overnight tonight. Temperatures tomorrow do rebound. Again, it's not an absurdly high thaw across the region, but it's a start. We still spend a lot of our nights this week below freezing. In fact, probably all of our nights below freezing this week. Temperatures continue that gradual climb into the middle parts of the week, mid-40s, maybe the upper 40s in some spots, but we have another big cold air mass moving into place. That's going to be this weekend. We'll talk more about that as it gets closer, and we get a general better idea of what kind of numbers we're going to be looking at. Again, Thursday morning still below freezing, and then we'll go from there as we go through the rest of the week. Cold weather alerts. Again, the extreme cold warning is in place. All of your severe weather warnings and alerts are made possible by Allegiance Health Network. Most of us, again, at least the potential for single-digit temperatures. I think most of us will be double digits, but there will at least be Camden, Monticello. You folks probably have the highest likelihood of seeing single digits tonight. High temperatures today will be back in the upper 20s to low 30s. Some of us will get above freezing, some won't. Sunshine is good. Again, I cannot stress that enough. The sun is a very good thing today. We will take as much sunshine as we can get. Low temperatures tonight, generally teens. Single digits are not out of the realm of possibilities, but where I have things right now, I generally think most of us will be in the teens. Some low 20s are not completely out of the question, and then we see high temperatures tomorrow back into the low end of the 40s, which is obviously going to be a plus side. Look at the 7-day forecast. We are working another cold front in late this week that probably knocks us back into the 30s for highs through the upcoming weekend and could drop lows back into the teens. So translation, let's thaw out as much of this and clear out as much of this as possible because it's going to get really cold again this weekend. The plus side to it is it looks as though that cold air is strong enough to really kick out any moisture to keep wintry precipitation. Again, late last week, right as we were beginning this storm system, a lot of folks were going, don't worry, it's going to snow next week too. And we were like, hey, just wait. Let's just pump the brakes on that, and let's just figure that out when we get there. It's looking more and more and more likely that the air is so cold and so dry, it's going to push all the moisture out into the Gulf of. So, you see what I did there? Gulf of. It's just the Gulf. I just call it the Gulf. I'm not playing that game. So that's where we sit. Pushing, again, Gulf lows that move across the northwestern Gulf need the perfect balance of cold air and moisture. If that air mass is too strong, it pushes all the moisture deeper into the central Gulf. If it's kind of the right balance, that's what fuels winter weather. In this instance, it wasn't even that. It was just the air was so cold, but the moisture was so insistent that you, again, kind of ran into the textbook thing there. Kelly asks, when will the roads stop refreezing? I mean, not to sound like, I mean, it's basically just, it's a matter of getting the moisture off the roads. Whatever is there overnight tonight, gonna refreeze. Gonna refreeze quickly. Anything that's left there tomorrow night, gonna refreeze. Gonna refreeze quickly. And so on and so forth. Because again, we're looking at temperatures well below freezing overnight through most of the rest of the week. Andrew, please tell those low two-wheel drive passenger cars with street tires to stay off the road so we can transport the vulnerable and essentials to them. That is a very good point. A lot of folks are wanting to go joyriding. Well, the sun's out. Let's go joyride. Stay home. Don't go anywhere. I saw something from the mayor of Sterlington, Matt Talbert, yesterday saying that, you know, emergency services kept getting clogged up because people kept getting stuck on the roads and they couldn't get around them. And I said this at the beginning of this system. Don't give emergency responders something to do. Let them sit still too. So they're going to be busy enough as is. Will the roads refreeze overnight? You bet you. Again, any moisture that's left on the roads overnight tonight, after sunset, it's going to freeze quickly. We're trying to keep the ice off our screened-in porch roof, and as soon as the sun set last night, we went from drip, drip, drip to nothing because everything refroze. And yes, Jenny, you can see from the outages, you can see a very clear path of. I think what I think you can really tell from this, and I'm going to go back to the regional one just because I can draw on this one. I think what you can best tell here is the different types of precipitation that we've endured. The areas, so it was really. These areas that saw, and points north obviously, that saw the sleet and the snow, and then it was these areas that really got socked with the freezing rain, and then it was these areas that also saw freezing rain but didn't quite see as much as the folks that were in the red. So yeah, you could kind of stagger out all the different types of precipitation from this event. But yeah, stay off the roads. Check on your neighbors, only the ones that you can easily get to, maybe by foot. Like I said, the folks around your neighborhood, call folks, check on them. Also, another thing, water pressure. Everybody's water pressure is low. Everybody's talking about their water system. My water system's right. It's everybody's water system's low. Everybody's dripping their faucets. And if you drip your faucets for 2 days on end, that drip, drip, drip adds up, and the demand is high. So, again, that's something that's going to be a problem until we thaw out, until we warm up. Stephanie asked, do you think Ouachita Parish schools will be able to open on Wednesday? You know I don't play that game. I in all honesty, at this point, for a lot of our schools and for a lot of infrastructure, buildings, businesses, and stuff like that, it's a matter of a few things. It's not necessarily a matter of wintry precipitation, clearly, at this point. It's not about what's falling from the sky. It's what's on the ground. It's also about infrastructure. A lot of these schools, and I'm not speaking for Ouachita Parish, I'm just speaking for schools in general across the area. It's a matter of, can you get buses there safely? From the entire, a lot of these are parish and county school districts, right? The entire parish and county, or county. So, you're talking about rural roads. Even in Ouachita Parish, everybody thinks, I'll take them as an example. Everybody immediately thinks Ouachita, West Monroe. Well, they don't take into account Sterlington. They don't take into account Richwood. They don't take into account West Ouachita. And you don't take into account all those high schools and all of their feeding middle schools and elementary schools that are out in the more rural parts of the parish. Now, let's translate to somebody like East Carroll Parish, where most of the parish is rural, and there's even more, country roads and small county roads that folks have to navigate, that buses have to navigate. Unless we can guarantee that there's safe transport in all of those instances, then yeah, it's going to be tough for a lot of folks to open back on Wednesday. Now, let's take the human element of it, just not the roads, but the human element. How many people have power? Do the schools have power? How have the schools fared through the infrastructure issues in terms of pipes freezing? How many schools can adequately keep their keep their students warm? Have the schools themselves had any structural issues in terms of the snow and ice? These are all things that have to be taken into account through the rest of the week. And I do think we're going to have some headaches in that regard. So that's where I also come in and tell folks to give grace to our school administrators, to our linemen, to everybody, because everybody's working what they can to get us all back to normal, and it's just going to take time. Yes, there will be a lot of car batteries dead. I tried to go out and crank mine yesterday, but that's where we really are. Teenage drivers. Those are all types of things that school administrators take into account. Bus drivers, teenage drivers. I have a teenage driver. First off, we can't thaw out his truck right now if we wanted to. Secondly, I wouldn't want it today. Clearly, now Wednesday we'll see. We'll just we don't know. We just have to wait and see how much everything thins out. So these are all, like I said, there's so many different factors other than snow and ice and stuff falling from the sky that oftentimes comes into account when it comes to school closures and things like that. It's a matter of infrastructure and getting everybody kind of back to where they need. So that's where we sit on this. I'll go back to the 7-day real quick before we wrap this up. So that's where we sit on this Monday. Thanks so much for taking time out of the day. Again, for folks that are on battery power, this is the forecast for the day. We're going to do a live stream midday. We're going to do a live stream this afternoon. We'll have the Too Long Didn't Read. We'll have all that stuff. But if you're on battery power and you see, oh, Jared's live midday, let's see if anything crazy's changed, not a whole lot's going to change. So, again, if you want to join us and you want to use that battery power to hang out with us, great. But be smart with that kind of stuff because, again, power outages will take time. Power outages will take time to restore. I'm going to provide as much information as I can through the next couple of days, but again, the information won't change in terms of the weather. It'll be very, very cold tonight. Again, whatever's on the roadways after sunset will refreeze rapidly. Hard freeze criteria, extreme cold warning already in place through the day tomorrow. We will thaw out a little bit, but again, the morning lows still below freezing for the next several days and even into next week as well. So that's, again, where the forecast sits on this Monday. Take care of yourself. Stay warm safely. 211. Again, if you're stressed, you need options. 211 will connect you to direct resources in your area that are available 24/7, 365. Again, remember our local business partners who are now standing by, kind of waiting to assist you. ServPro if you have water damage. Brown's Roofing if you have leaky roof or you have roof issues. 3B Hardware is open today. 3B Outdoor in Monroe, Matt said that they were assessing power abilities and stuff like that. Check their Facebook page for the latest information. But again, for chainsaws and things like that, they're going to be a good go-to. Russell Moore Lumber, if you need wood, because there's going to be a lot of folks that are going to be needing those types of materials over the next couple of days, they're there. Again, just a reminder that these folks don't just, help pay the bills here because, they think this is a cool venture. They genuinely want to help our community. So they're standing by. 211's there as a call that you can make as well. I'll provide another midday stream, an afternoon stream. Like I said, Too Long Didn't Read comes out at about 9:30. Yes, I still have a blanket in my lap. Yes, it's still cold. Thanks so much for stopping by the Digital Weather Desk, powered by Century Next Bank. As always, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for finding us over the last couple of days, and we'll provide updates as we go through the rest of this Monday.